Hey everyone, this is a special one-on-one sleep consult that I did. We talk about a 5-month-old who is having a lot of difficulty with going to sleep in his crib. There's some backstory that he was sick as a youngster, and so parents obviously wanted to hold him and cuddle him and take care of his needs and everything. And now he's just like having a lot of difficulty falling asleep. Well, we talk about reflux, we talk about co-sleeping. And we come up with a plan. So I hope this is helpful for you. If you are looking for help in a one-on-one sort of fashion, if you go to drb.show/sleep help, you can get the help that you need from me as well. We put it all together into a nice little package of we talk, we send you an action guide, we send you the audio and video transcripts and actual recordings so that you have all that information for you going forward. If that's something that you'd like, drb.show/sleep help, and please keep up the good work and get the rest that you need, especially during this difficult time. Okay, so tell me what's going on. I'm just going to take some notes.
Okay. Well, I will say we have kind of a whole, I don't know how much my son's like early in life experiences relate to this, but I just want to really fast say it. So he's 5 months old.
Okay.
He had a couple weeks in the NICU, and then in January he actually got a different strain of the coronavirus and was at Children's Hospital, and he was intubated and the whole thing. It was very rough. Scary, and we almost lost him, and it was very scary. But I will say that I think has to do with where we are now, is because when we got him home from the hospital, we held him all the time. Like we held him to sleep always because we were so we were so worried about him, and we just were overprotective. And so now he is very used to being held to sleep. So
gotcha. And
I knew it at the time. I was like, this is going to come to bite us later. And it has.
That's okay. 5 months old is easy to fix. Okay,
good.
Yeah.
Good. So that's kind of and then he also has reflux. We see Dr. Nelson. She prescribed us some reflux medication about a month ago, and that has been helping quite a bit.
Good.
Reflux was pretty bad at night. That was when, when it was like really acting up. So he's on the medication now, and his night times, like he would be crying for an hour every night, and now that doesn't happen anymore. So basically we feel like we're to a point where we can get him where he needs to be, and it's just not happening.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Totally normal. That sounds very typical that, you have trouble, like after a super traumatic thing like that, where he's in the hospital and he's on the breathing machine and so sick, and you're worried, like, how do you not then want to cuddle and hold and snuggle and enjoy and bond with him after such a traumatic experience? So I totally get that.
Right.
And 5 months is a perfect age to kind of like get sleep training stuff started, even if you have been held to sleep for the last 5 months, which it doesn't sound like he's been held that long, but even if he was, that's fine.
Yes.
Tell me about your evening routine.
He has an older sister who's 3.
Okay.
And both kids want mom, so that's hard. Yeah. So we've started implementing that dad will read books to sister while I'll try to get Brecken to sleep. And then once he's asleep, we've tried it both ways. Sometimes I will hold him while I finish reading her books and then bring him to bed. And then we've also tried putting him in the crib while I finish reading her books. And pretty much without fail, he will wake up after I put him in the crib, which is kind of what I told you about in my comment. Like basically we put him in the crib, he wakes up. And that's why we have resorted to holding him, because we don't really know what else to do. So that's kind of the night, like right now I take him. And then that was the other part, is as far as like orientation of our house. After we got home from the hospital, we moved his crib into our room.
Sure.
So I go into his room where his rocking chair is. I nurse him, rock him, try to get him to sleep in my arms in the rocking chair. And then we move to our room. So that's where it's a little iffy, because sometimes he's falling asleep in his room, sometimes he's falling asleep in our room. So it's not super consistent. So that
Right.
was another thing I wanted to talk to you about as far as mighty sleepers. And you mentioned consistency is key.
Mm-hmm.
And that isn't exactly happening as far as what we're doing between the two rooms.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And how many times per night is he waking up?
Depends on the night. Last night was like 3 to 4, usually
Okay.
probably about 3 most nights.
And when he wakes up, you feed him and then put him back in his crib in your room?
No.
Gotcha.
He's been going in our bed. And
Gotcha.
that's another, and I know all of these things that I
Yeah, you
know
already
are
know those
wrong.
things. Everybody knows
Yes.
those things.
I know that that's wrong. Yeah.
And you feed him to sleep and then he falls asleep and then you go back to sleep. Is that how it works? And then he wakes up and you feed him and then you go back to sleep. Okay. Yeah, everybody knows those things. It's just tough when the rubber meets the road and it's like 3 a.m. and
Right.
you haven't got much sleep and you're looking at like 6 a.m. in just a few short hours. So
right.
I get that for
yes.
sure.
And I was like, okay, I know what he's going to say. He's going to say,
well, I don't have to say it.
Yeah. And I know it, but I'm
right.
just not. Yeah.
No, I totally get it.
So yeah, he doesn't have a ton. That's, I think, part of the issue is that at night we try to put him in the crib. He wakes up, he ends up in our bed.
Right.
And then during naps, we're trying to get him in his crib. And so the consistency is a little off, but I'm struggling with the actually getting that where it needs to be, I guess.
And what's your comfort level with now that he's healthy and everything, allowing him to cry?
I'm comfortable with like a few minutes. I'm not a good,
okay.
Yeah. I won't do like a 30-minute deal or anything, but I'm comfortable with a few minutes. Yeah.
Well, then I won't present you with that offer because you wouldn't go for it. So that just helps me to know kind of, how to say, here's what I think you should do. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about before I kind of give you my thoughts on it? Is there anything that I missed?
The other thing I mentioned is like when he falls asleep for nap time, in my arms, then I tried to put him in his crib and almost every time his eyes pop open and he is happy as can be. He just looks at me and starts smiling. And I'm like, okay, you're supposed to be napping. So that was what I mentioned in my comment is like, he will go, I mean, there's some days where it's 4:30 p.m. and he's napped for 15 minutes. Wow. And I know that, and so I'm just like, he's just exhausted, but he is stubborn and won't go in his crib. So
gotcha.
That's kind of just getting that where he is comfortable enough. And I guess I'm wondering, okay, do I put him in what I've been trying to do is get him to sleep in my arms and then put him in his crib.
Right.
Asleep. And I know you had mentioned touching the cheek, trying to wake him up, that kind of thing. So also knowing which one is better. Cause just even this morning, like he just got to sleep in my arms. I put him in his crib and he actually stayed asleep in his crib for, 45 minutes.
And then it's like, well, there's no way I'm going to wake him up if he didn't wake up.
Yes. So
yeah,
totally. I would love to hear whatever you have to say now.
Okay. So first and foremost, like nothing that you're doing is wrong right now, other than, as you know, the co-sleeping. But everything else is totally fine. And there's nothing that you have to do at this moment. If you say, coronavirus is really crappy right now and I really don't want to change anything else or add any more stress to the mix, like you can do nothing different right now. Although I would, as I've said, not do the co-sleeping, and otherwise just keep doing what you're doing and say, we're going to address this when he's 7 months, 8 months, whatever. What I would start with is first and foremost, figuring out something that's consistent so that he gets the same message every time that we're doing sleep. Meaning it can be in his room, it can be in your room, but just something where it's a little more consistent for him so that he knows what to expect before bed. This is what bedtime looks like. This is what overnight looks like. I would say if he wakes 3 to 4 times per night in general, that's something, if he's growing well, which it sounds like he is, that you can work your way down to like 1 feeding per night by 8 months, and then 0 feedings per night by 9 or 10 months. Like that shouldn't be too much.
And my daughter
faster.
Sorry, he didn't mean to interrupt. My daughter didn't do a good job with that. Like she nursed at night until she was weaned.
Yeah.
And do you have any tips as far as like right now he wakes up and he nurses, and I sometimes I try the pacifier because I'm like, I don't
Uh-huh.
think you're hungry. It's just habit. Like he wakes up,
Yeah.
he nurses. Is there a way to kind of stop that habit
Yes,
in
and
that
I think in
way?
the Mighty Sleepers frequently asked questions, there's a section on like how to decrease the number of nighttime feedings. But
Mm-hmm.
in general, what you do is you kind of look and say, okay, usually he wakes 3 times per night. I think he can get by with 2 times per night. Which
Mm-hmm.
feeding would be easiest for me to cut out and then allow him to fuss or have a pacifier or try and soothe him through without eating? Because
Mm-hmm.
he can certainly make it through the night from a calorie, blood sugar, and hydration standpoint without eating. And so it's kind of just working your way down from there. And so you say,
Okay.
okay, the first time, he's ravenous, so I feed him. The second time he's kind of iffy and sometimes he just falls right asleep. I'm going to skip the
Mm-hmm.
second time. And then the third time, it's like so close to morning that I really want him to go back to sleep so I can get 1 more hour of sleep. So I'm going to cut the middle one out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I approach that. And then oftentimes, once you install that kind of plan, that it just works itself out on its own, and like you don't have to do the rest of them. He'll kind of just, as he grows, work to the point where, okay, I'm going longer and longer stretches of sleep. I
Mm-hmm.
understand how to fall asleep on my own. When I wake up at night, I can just go back to sleep on my own. So oftentimes it doesn't really come to the point of like having to chip away one at a time at those feedings. They kind of all take care of themselves. Once you get the ball rolling, it snowballs.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
in terms of like bedtime routine, what I think you could do is start with laying, like, do your final feeding, and then I'm debating in my head. I think I would try to get out of the bed first, like out of co-sleeping first, because he's used to that right now. And if you can get him used to, we feed him and then he goes back down in his crib, then that's
Mm-hmm.
the first place to start, because then he can get used to that. You'll have to feed him to sleep to start with, and that'll be fine. So a couple weeks of feed, falls asleep, in crib, wakes
Yeah.
up, feed, falls asleep, in crib, wakes up. And if
Yep.
you can do that for even just like a week of doing that, then I think he'll get the picture of, okay, I don't sleep in bed with my mom and dad anymore.
Yeah.
Then from there, the next step would be, okay, I want to teach him how to fall asleep on his own so that when he wakes up through the night, he can go back to sleep on his own.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I would do that is, if you're comfy with a little bit of crying or being in the same room with him, but not picking him up, is feed him. Make sure that he's awake. You can change his diaper. You can wiggle his toes. You can pinch his cheeks, whatever. Lay him down awake and then
Okay.
say night night.
Okay.
And and then the fastest way to do it is just to exit the room and allow him to fuss and cry, and he'll go to sleep on his own.
Mm-hmm.
The more gentle approach would be, okay, I'm going to sit here next to your crib, in eyesight, while
Yeah.
you fall asleep on your own. And
Mm-hmm.
that's totally fine. You can
Mm-hmm.
put your AirPods in so you don't have to listen to every scream. You can distract yourself with a book or
Yeah.
whatever you
Yeah.
want to do. But I'm just going to be in the same room as him as he falls asleep so he doesn't have to do it on his own.
Right.
Once he does that, which he will do it, like it won't be a problem, then you can move a little bit further away. So now I'm kind of in the
Mm-hmm.
hallway, and he can still see me if he looks up and looks around and finds me. But otherwise, he's just going to kind of hear my voice or feel my presence, but I'm going to be further away. Get used to that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm further in the hallway, and then I'm not there anymore. And he's learned, okay, I can fall asleep on my own. That
Mm-hmm.
works totally fine. And a lot of parents like that if they're not really comfortable with crying them or leaving them, because you're still,
Yeah.
visually present, so that he doesn't feel completely alone, but you're not holding him, you're not picking up, you're not soothing him back to sleep,
Right.
in that way. Then his
Okay.
brain will learn, I can fall asleep on my own. When I wake up at night, hey, there's my mom over there. I can go back to sleep on my own
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not hungry.
Right. So
The
what?
other part of the consistency, sorry, is if you got to do the same thing the rest of the night, which maybe was what you're going to
Right.
ask.
Well, I was going to ask, I don't know if you're going to switch to naps, but what do I do about all of that makes sense for night. And it's just
Okay.
going to affect my sleep, I guess, for a little, because right now I'll nurse him. Basically fall asleep with him nursing. And
Right.
so it makes my night easier.
Right.
So I will just have to sacrifice for a little while, but it'll be worth it. from what it sounds like.
It'll be worth it, because if you look at the time of like getting poor sleep, you know, and add all that time up of like the wakenings up and the worrying and, you know, all of the inconsistency of how long am I going to sleep for, maybe an hour, maybe 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be worth it in the, even in the near soon term, because he'll get into the habit of sleeping longer stretches, and then you'll know what to expect. I know how tonight's going to go,
Right.
because every night goes like this, and we have 2
Mm-hmm.
awakenings per night, and I know how many hours I can get, rather than trying to steal every moment of sleep that you can,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know how much you're going to get.
Right. So I feel like, I mean, nights have not, like, I'm not waking up exhausted. Nights have not been
Mm-hmm.
terrible.
Yeah,
Naps are our biggest issue,
naps are the
as
big
far
issue.
as having an older sister that I
Mm-hmm.
need. Like, I feel a lot of guilt because she's
Sure.
downstairs by herself while I'm trying to get him to sleep. And then he pops up 5 minutes later and he's awake. And then she's spending like hours of her day downstairs by herself while I'm trying to
Right.
get him. And it's just not working. Um,
Right.
and it's just like a lot of mom guilt and in a whole
Oh, of
bunch of different
course.
ways.
Well, and there's
um,
all the anxiety of like everything else that's going on in the world right now. Like there's a lot on your plate.
yeah. And
Um,
I told my husband, I think the best word to describe it is feeling like defeated. Like I come
mhm.
downstairs and I'm like, once again, not another nap. And he's got to be so tired so
Does he sleep on you? Like if you hold him, will he sleep?
always, yes.
That's how he does naps. Honestly, what
But
I
I
would
try to
do,
put him down and then he pops, and then his eyes pop open.
what I would start with is the nighttime routine and just hold him for nap time. Like if that means that you can be downstairs and, you know, in the presence of your daughter, then hold him for nap time until you get night times a little bit better, and then you can work on nap
Okay.
times. How does that sound?
Okay. Okay.
I think that would be fine. You could also do a pack and play downstairs or something like that, or
Yeah.
just set him, you know, in a place that sister's not going to step on him or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because once the nighttime is better, the nap time usually takes care of itself too.
Okay. Okay.
And then
We've
he'll
kind of
get
been
used to
doing the
that.
opposite. We've been like trying to nap train, but not
Yeah.
worrying about night is what we've been
Yeah.
doing. So,
It's
okay.
much easier to do nighttime and then nap time. So if you get nighttime better, then nap time will take care of itself. So do whatever you need to erase as much of the mom guilt that you can, that you're spending forever trying to get him to take a nap and he won't. Focus on the nighttime, and
Okay.
then do whatever you need to for nap time. If that means holding him or carrying around or sitting and reading a story while he naps on you, and you spend
Mm-hmm.
time, you know, with your daughter or surfing
Right.
Instagram or whatever, just do that. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I was doing it totally backwards. So I think that should help.
I think that will make a bigger difference. It was
Yeah.
hard when you have a kid that was really sick and you were worried, like, you
Yeah.
know, about them making it. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I want to cuddle and hold you, because that was really hard and scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now we can't do that all the time. And we have to, like, you
No,
know,
exactly.
get
It's not
dishes
working.
done and play with sister. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Okay.
does
That's
that sound like a plan?
that sounds like a plan. That's the
So
main thing
we'll
that's
send
going on.
you a little action guide that like has it all written out, since we kind of
Mhm.
talked about a lot of stuff and it's kind of tough to remember. And we'll send you the video and audio of this so that you can watch it again or refer back to it if you have questions.
Okay. That sounds good.
And then let me know in a week or two how it's going.
Okay. I'm trying to think while I have you if there's anything
Yeah,
else I want to ask, but I
for
don't
sure.
know for sure if there is. I guess just touching on the reflex part really fast.
Yeah.
I know it's
Hmm.
like better, but it's not 100% better. Do you recommend, like, I don't have his crib on a slant or anything like that. Do you
Right.
recommend that or not
No, I think just
really?
flat. Flat's
Okay.
best. Yep.
Okay. Okay. I think that's it.
Well, it was great to talk. Good luck.
Yeah. Thank
It'll
you.
get better from here for sure.
I hope so. Okay.
It's
Thank
much
you for
easier
your
to
help.
do it now than at 15 months or at 3 years or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Perfect. Eat some
Have a good
lunch.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that one-on-one sleep consult. We talked through a lot, but I think it was helpful, and I'm excited to hear how it goes in the next couple weeks. getting sleep under control for him. Again, like I said at the beginning, if you want some extra help getting sleep figured out, if you go to drb.show/sleep help, you can book a one-on-one time to talk. And if you're looking for something that I've used with patients and hundreds of parents online, if you go to mightysleepers.com, you'll find my Mighty Sleepers infant sleep training course. Take care.